Most people fear losing, the greats fear never trying. Today, we're going to be talking about exactly what separates those that stay stuck from those who actually change their lives. I want to talk to you about Doechii. Yes, the Doechii who won Best Rap Album in the Grammys here in 2025. And that girl has absolutely been freaking slaying it. But what a lot of people don't know is that back in 2020, she actually got laid off from her job. And so instead of just playing it safe and finding another secure paycheck, right? I think that's what most people would go do is like, oh, I got laid off. Now I got to start looking for another job. And who knows how long that's going to take. I know so many people that have been looking for jobs and have been unemployed for months, sometimes even years. But so instead of playing it safe, she said, screw it, and went all in on herself. And there's a whole video on her channel that's going viral that it's a video of her talking to the camera. And this was either the day that she was laid off or the day after she was laid off. And she was like, screw it. I have nothing to lose. I'm just going to start like knocking on doors tomorrow, talking to producers, seeing if I can go get an internship, whatever. I like have nothing to lose. I'm just going to go for it. And then fast forward 5 years, she's not only standing on that Grammy stage, like accepting an award, but she's also performing at the Grammys. Like, girl, what? That was a freaking glow up. And the thing is, there is so much power that happens when you decide to take control over your life and stop letting life happen to you. And she's literally holding on to this award that most people only dream of. Even famous people just dream of having this award. And because she had that mindset, she found herself on stage winning that award. And that, my dear friends, is the power of taking the leap. Now, today what we're actually going to do, though, is talk about why most people don't do it. And maybe you're that most people. But the thing is you don't have to be. You can be the exception. Because most people would have said that Doechii is straight up Delulu, like homegirl is not going to make it. She is crazy. She has no resources. And honestly, to an extent, she freaking was. But I honestly think that that is the most beautiful place to be. The place where you're like, what do I even have to lose? Because that is really where the magic happens. Because I think about all the magical things that have happened in my own life. And the only reason they happened was because I was straight up Delulu. Like, I traveled to 50 countries before I turned 25. I quit my corporate job. I started buying properties as a solo single black female before I even hit 30 years old. I traveled solo all around the world. I've started so many random activities like rock climbing, skiing, never grew up with any of these things, but I was just delusional about it. And so I think back to the time, for example, when I was on a mission to hit 50 countries by 25. I'd hit 30 countries by 22. The original goal was to hit 30 countries by 30, but I hit it by 22. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I need a new goal. And so my next goal was to hit 50 countries before I turned 25. Okay, y'all, do I have something exciting for you? Now, I just came out with a brand new free training on exactly how you, yes, you can get started investing in real estate within the next 3 months. Because if you're someone who wants more freedom in your life, the ability to travel the world and do the things that you actually want to do in life, you're going to want to listen up. Trust me. Now, this training is freaking awesome. I literally go in and spill the tea on the number one strategy that is working right now, like literally today in today's market. And I go over how to look at deals and make sure that they actually cash flow and how to set your properties up so that you can run them from anywhere in the world. Like, I literally have managed my properties from over 6 different time zones. So if you are stuck in analysis paralysis, you don't know where to start when it comes to real estate investing, but you know that it's something that you want to do in the future, this training is going to be for you. So to check it out, click the link in the show notes or DM me the word hack, like HACK on Instagram, and I will send you the link. Now let's dive back into the show. Now, y'all, at this time, I was legitimately still in school. I was still in grad school when I came up with this goal. I was making no money, like $1,000 a month from tutoring, maybe a little bit more than that sometimes. And I had internships during the summer. Luckily, I had scholarships, but I had bills to pay. My rent, I remember at the time, was $1,400 a month, and I'm making $1,000 a month from my tutoring gig. So you can see how that really played out super well. But by the end of grad school, I was like, I am going on a 3-month adventure. I don't really care. I know I'm going to be starting work here soon after the summer, but I need to take 3 months off, and I'm going to go do me and hit the goals that I know I really want to do, because the job is always going to be there. there. And so I remembered I had already secured my job for like starting in August or September, but I wanted to take the whole summer off to go travel and hit my 50 countries basically. And I remember I pushed it out to the very last day possible I could start to still get my vacation time for the year. And y'all, when I say I used every single dollar that I had on this trip, every single dollar, and maxed out all of my credit cards. By the end of this trip, I moved to New Orleans and was starting work. And I remember the first 2 weeks of work, I was just eating ramen for the 2 weeks because that's all I could afford. I had no money for any other food and was just waiting for that first paycheck to come in so that I could start paying off debt and start making some money. But I did not care. I was like, screw it. I'm going to be working this job for the rest of my life. I might as well take advantage now, go travel, go do things, right? Instead of like taking the secure route, which would have been to maybe take like a quick one or 2 week trip and then go start work and start making money. I knew that it was so important for me, for my life, for my well-being in terms of what I actually wanted to do with my life. I knew that I needed to go travel, go see the world, go hit my 50th country, all of that. And that was worth it to me, right? And I had that F it, I'll figure it out. I know I'm going to run out of money, but I know I have the resilience and the resources and the ability to figure it out. Because here's the truth. Most people are just scared of losing the comfort, and that is why they never go after what they really want in life. Like they'll stay in the job that they hate. They'll keep making the safe decision. They'll tell themselves that one day, I'll go after my dreams, but not today, not yet. I'm not ready. And then this future someday literally never comes. Because here's the problem too, is that security is just an illusion. The job that you think is stable could fire you tomorrow. Like the number of layoff rounds that I experienced when I was working my corporate job, I was an oil and gas engineer, the number of layoffs that happened in the industry just while I was working there for a few years is crazy town. And they're going through more layoffs right now. Like I literally have spoken to some of my old coworkers and they're going through another round of layoffs. I know people in other industries who have gotten laid off and they've been laid off for 8 months and unable to find another job, some even a year or more. And when I was deciding when to quit my corporate job, I knew that I needed to make the decision and not wait for the decision to be made for me. And so I quit on my own terms. I created the base for me to be able to go off and do my own thing. And that was just like a beautiful reminder that you are in complete control of your destiny. I was in complete and am every single day in complete control of my destiny. And you are too. And that safe thing, that distant safe thing that you're clinging onto, that's what's keeping you small. And what Doechii understood, and honestly what every successful person understands, is that sometimes losing that safe thing is the best thing that could ever happen to you. Because honestly, truly, when you have nothing to lose, that is going to be when you go all in. And honestly, that's when everything changes. Now, what so many people tell me is like, oh, I have a low risk tolerance. But usually what that just means is that you're afraid of the unknown and you haven't collected enough information and data to give you the comfortability to jump into whatever that is or to do that thing. Like y'all, having a baby, that's risky. That literally, like mothers, you guys, oh my gosh, you inspire me every single day. But that is literally so risky. So risky, just having a child, birthing a child. But we've normalized it in society. It's just become the norm. And so those risk factors have become standard. We know enough about them. We understand the risks. And that's why we feel comfortable with it. Same thing with going to college, right? College has been normalized in society now. And so even though there's a huge risk that you could graduate and not come out with a job and like be hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, people have normalized that risk and they're like, well, it's just what you do. And it's simply because we know enough about what the process is like that it just doesn't feel scary anymore. And there's enough people around us trying to do the same thing. So let's talk about the real difference between people who make it and people who stay stuck. Most people, they play not to lose. They move through life like it's a game of defense. But basically just trying to keep on to what they have, not make mistakes, not take any risks, just trying to stay safe, right? But if you don't take any kicks at the goal, how do you expect to score? The ones who actually win, they play to win. They take bold moves. They take risks knowing that failure isn't the worst thing because they know that staying the same is. And they also don't look at failures as failures. They look at it as feedback. Now they have more data for the next time that they try to score at the goal. And that's the energy that you have to bring into your life and your decisions if you really want to create wealth and if you want to create freedom. And look, I get it. Like, the idea of taking a risk can be super scary. Like buying that property or quitting your job or starting a business or taking a sabbatical and traveling the world or whatever it is for you. Making that big move is scary. It's always going to be scary. But do you know what's even scarier? Being in the exact same place 5 years from now, still wondering what if and wishing that you'd bet on yourself. Like, I remember I was dating a guy years ago, and this was in New Orleans, and he had been living in New Orleans for about 10 years. And I just remember, like, we were chit-chatting, and he was just like, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of woke up, and now I've been here for 10 years, and it's kind of crazy because I never expected my life to be like that. And I honestly, like, he wasn't from New Orleans, didn't really have any family there. There was no real reason for him to be there except for his job, but he'd stayed just because, I mean, those were the cards he was dealt, right? He never really took life into his own hands and planned it out for himself and decided where he actually wanted to go and where he wanted to be and what he wanted his life to look like. He was just running on autopilot, right? Letting life happen to him instead of taking life by the horns and actually making it happen. So I need you to ask yourself right now, what's actually at risk? Are you risking your comfort, or are you risking the life that you could be living? Are you afraid of failing, or are you afraid of never trying? Because here's the truth. You can either cling to security or you can bet on yourself, but you can't do both. And Doechii made that choice in 2020. She chose herself. And 5 years later, she's proof of what's possible. So much can happen in 5 years. I look back to my life 5 years ago, and I'm like, literally, what just happened? So here's my challenge to you. What's the leap that you need to take? What's the thing that you've been putting off because it feels risky? Girl, whatever it is, this is your sign to do it. Now, if this episode hit close to home for you, please leave me a review or DM me on Instagram, or just, like, you can leave a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment below. I want to hear what your thoughts are, and tell me, like, what are you wanting to take the leap into? And also tell me what's stopping you, right? I want to hear from you. And don't forget, leave me a 5-star review, subscribe to the channel, do all the things. That way we can continue to grow. Okay, bye fam. Thank you so much for listening to Wanderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member, or literally, like, anyone off of the street. Like, right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.